My sister mocked me at Thanksgiving for cutting up my husband's food, so I finally said the thing our whole family had been pretending not to notice, and her fiancé set down his fork before I finished the sentence. For 3 years, anytime I did something tender for my husband Theo, my sister Larissa treated it like proof I'd lost my dignity. Theo had a stroke at 34. He recovered most of the way, but his right hand still shakes when he's tired, and steak nights are hard for him, so I cut his food, quietly, without making a thing of it. Last Easter, I sliced his ham into smaller pieces before passing him his plate. Larissa let out this little laugh and said, "Wow, does he chew it for him too?" Theo gave a polite smile, the kind that doesn't reach the eyes. I let it go. 2 months later at my mom's birthday, I noticed Theo's hand trembling around his water glass, so I switched it for a heavier mug that he could grip easier. Larissa rolled her eyes and said, "Must be exhausting being his nurse." Theo stared at the tablecloth. I could see him shrink an inch. Then came Thanksgiving last week. Theo had been on his feet helping my dad fix the garage door all morning, and by dinner his hand was trembling worse than usual. Before I even reached for his plate, Larissa was already in a mood. Her fiancé Bennett quietly refilled her wine without being asked, and she snapped, "I didn't ask for that." Bennett froze, bottle midair. She kept going. When my aunt asked Bennett about his promotion at the architecture firm, Larissa cut in, "It's not a promotion, it's a lateral move. He just likes the new title." Bennett's jaw tightened. He didn't look up. Without thinking, I reached over and started cutting Theo's turkey for him, right there at the table. Larissa slammed her glass down so hard the gravy boat rattled. "Oh my god, are you kidding? He's not 5. He's a grown man." She wasn't even looking at Theo. She was staring at me, like I was the one embarrassing the family. "You baby him in front of everyone, and it's humiliating to watch." Theo whispered, "I've got it," and pulled his plate toward himself, his hand visibly shaking now. My mom looked at her napkin. My dad cleared his throat and reached for the rolls. Nobody said a word. Then Larissa leaned back with this smug little curl of her mouth and added, "You know what's wild? Mom never cut up Dad's food. Marriage isn't supposed to look like that. You turned yourself into his caregiver, and you call it love." And that's when something in me cracked, because I suddenly understood this wasn't about Theo at all. It was about Larissa and Bennett. Bennett is one of the kindest men I've ever met. He brings her coffee every single morning. He waited 2 extra years to propose because she said she wasn't ready. On their engagement trip to Lisbon, he'd planned a sunset boat ride, and she'd spent the whole hour on her phone telling him the wine was warm. He'd stopped planning surprises after that. Last Christmas, Bennett pulled me aside in the kitchen, eyes red, and said, "I don't know what I keep doing wrong." When I'm attentive, she says, "I'm smothering her." When I back off, she says, "I don't care. I'm tired." I didn't have an answer, and I'd been sick about it ever since. So sitting there listening to Larissa mock me for being soft with my husband while Bennett sat hollowed out beside her, I couldn't swallow it again. I set my fork down and looked right at her. "Larissa, you want to know why I take care of Theo?" Her smirk twitched. "Because he lets me," I said. "Because when I do something kind, he says thank you. He doesn't treat my care like an attack on his manhood. Loving someone is easy when they actually receive it." Her face went hard. "That's not the point." "It's exactly the point," I said. "Theo isn't weak. He's grateful. What's eating you is that Bennett stopped getting any of this from you a long time ago." Her mouth opened, but I kept going before I lost the nerve. "He stopped because every time he tried, you found something wrong with it. You trained him to stop trying. I've watched it for 3 years." The table was dead silent. My dad set the rolls down without taking one. Larissa hissed, "Don't you dare bring my relationship into this." For the first time all night, Bennett lifted his eyes and looked at her. He didn't say anything. He just slowly set his fork down on the edge of his plate and folded his napkin. "I'm not trying to hurt you," I said softer. "I'm saying what everyone here has been watching." Larissa shoved her chair back. "Unbelievable. You ambushed me at a holiday." She grabbed her purse and stormed toward the front door, and it slammed hard enough to shake the picture frames in the hallway. Bennett stayed where he was. He stared at his folded napkin for a long moment. Then he stood up, slow and calm. "I'm sorry to do this here," he said to my parents. He looked at me, and something behind his eyes had finally settled. "I should have done this a long time ago." He picked up his coat from the back of the chair and walked out. Not after her, just out. Now half my family says I crossed a line. Was I wrong?